So good afternoon. Now, it's that time of the show where we take a look at what's been going on around the world and reflect on how it affects us here in the UK. So let's speak to my foreign affairs expert, James Marlow. James, great to see you.
Thank you.
Right.
Good to see you.
Yes, now, there's so much going on. Joe Biden, what is happening? America, Democrats.
Well, he's had a success. And the success occurred on Friday night. He had a press conference with a Q&A yesterday. I listened to most of it, if not all of it, this morning. And the success is based on the infrastructure bill, which he got passed bipartisan. So in other words, the Republicans and the Democrats both voted for this particular bill, which is specifically for the infrastructure of America. He's known now as the FDR, the New Deal, which he wants to create brand new jobs and electric cars and new roads and a whole infrastructure which is going to create millions and millions of jobs. The problem that the Democrats always had was that they've got a hardcore of far-left socialists within the party right now, which is turning off some Democrats. They're known as the Squad. They're led by somebody called AOC, and they are voting against all the Democrat bills. You can't reason with them. This is not me. This is the Democrats. The Democrats are saying this. The reason why you can't reason with them is because that they want taxes raised to everyone. Now, Joe Biden says that the rich should pay more, but everyone else is going to be fine. Where Joe Biden is going to struggle is the next bill which is coming up, which is actually known as Build Back Better.
Right, yes.
And that's the one that they're going to struggle with because it's not clear whether the Republicans are going to support that one or not. But basically, this comes after the Republicans had an amazing victory a couple of days ago in the state of Virginia, the first time that the Republicans have won in the state of Virginia for 12 years. And, of course, Mr. Glenn Youngkin won that state. We've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks over here. So we were kind of predicting that he might just take that state, and he did, with a much greater majority than we expected because the Democrats were not coming out to vote because they're not happy with the party. What we didn't expect was the state of New Jersey. That was so close. It was actually between the Republican and the Democrat, which was changing. It was seesawing all night and into the next day as well. The final result was not announced until 2 days later. And, of course, the Democrats just picked it up, 50% against 48%. So it was just in, but it would have been an absolute devastation for the Democrat Party had the Republicans taken that state.
Wow. So it's really kicking off in America, isn't it? We'll be finding out, because I don't think he may have got this FDO thing, but I'm not convinced that he'll be able to still maintain his lead against the Republicans. I think this is a...
He wasn't, as I watched the press conference this morning, which was from yesterday as well, he made a number, in my opinion, he made a number of Donald Trump mistakes. In other words, he was going over things again and again. He was contradicting himself. He was saying that this is going to be great. He wasn't so good in the Q&As. He was going off on a tangent as well. And unfortunately, this is the complaint from general American voters, is that their candidates are not of higher quality, not like they used to be. But again,
not like they used to be. They had Ronald Reagan in there. They had an actor. Then he turned out to be one of their best presidents ever.
Absolutely.
Right. So now, what's the story about the Taliban disguising themselves?
Yes, Afghan women. They have the Afghan women who have previously worked for international aid agencies and NGOs and, of course, Western governments. They were receiving a number of messages, mostly via WhatsApp, hundreds and hundreds of messages to say that we are an independent NGO. We have offices in Washington, D.C. We know you're looking for a way out of the country. We want to get you out of the country. And they're luring them into an office whereby these women are being executed.
Really?
In the last few days, 7 women's bodies have been found. This is happening at this time by the Taliban in the north of the country, and there are perhaps other women's bodies who have not yet been found. I was listening to some testimony late last night, from an Afghan woman who used to work for one of the NGOs. She's receiving, she claims, hundreds of WhatsApp messages over the last several weeks. She knows it's a con. She knew at least one of these women whose body has been found. And the WhatsApp messages to say, you are in danger, the Taliban is after you, you need to come to us, but first make sure that you send your documents, your picture, your passport number, your date of birth, so that they know exactly who they are And once they get to this office, of course, that they are killed and their bodies are being dumped. So this comes in contrast to what the Taliban said to Western governments to say, don't worry, everything is going to be fine. And it's not fine. They are rounding up these women. Elsewhere, by the way, on the Afghan streets, let me just tell you this very briefly, shops are open, but they used to have music playing in the shops, and there used to be some musicians in the... That's not allowed anymore, so the Taliban have completely wiped that out. There's no music at all in the marketplaces. Those musicians who used to play as a musician, and they can't do anything else, they're out of work, of course. The other thing as well is that the Taliban have clamped down on a hobby in Afghanistan, which is flying birds or pigeon flyings. They say that that's un-Islamic, and they completely ban that. Coffee shops have now reopened. They're not to their high capacity because women are not going out to the coffee shops for obvious reasons, because the women are scared to go out and sit and have a cappuccino. However, the Taliban are sitting down and they're talking about the word cappuccino. They've never been introduced to the word cappuccino before, and they are saying that this is the greatest thing ever.
Wow.
So that's happening in Afghanistan. If I can just briefly move to Iran, if you allow me to, and that links in a little bit with Joe Biden and the Americans, because what a lot are fearing at this point is that Joe Biden is desperate for another success. He had the success with the bill, as we just mentioned, on Friday night. He's looking to get another bill passed, but he also believes that he can have a major success if he can get a specific deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, the problem with Iran is that it's enriching uranium to a very high degree. Even according to the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, it's way above 60%. Well, it is 60%, but others have said it's above 60%. That is close to weapons production, which means their quest for nuclear weapons. And this is a great concern to the West. And the question remains, just to end, is Joe Biden going to sit down with the Iranians on November the 29th, that the Iranians claim that they're going to sit down with the Americans, or is Joe Biden going to put it off a little bit and listen to the Israelis and the Saudis and the Gulf states?
Good question. Well, we'll find out, won't we? James, thank you so much for talking to us. That's James Marlow, our Foreign Affairs correspondent. Interesting stuff. If you just tuned in, you're watching me, Nana Acquare. This is GB News.